Really quick, guys, imagine your kid gets killed at a track meet, and then the killer gets to walk across a stage and actually graduate. This isn't just a miscarriage for justice. This is a funeral for accountability. Let's roll the tape, guys.
What's up, guys? It's Benny. This will be a palate cleanser for everybody who has been following the single worst story of 2025. On your screen here is a bespoke killer Carmelo Anthony. This is what he looks like in court. This is what killer Carmelo Anthony looks like outside of court. Boy, I wonder why this young man was so violent. If only there were
This right here, man, is why I think there needs to be more discipline. Because walking around, you shouldn't be involved in anything like this. And you're still in high school. Just in life, you shouldn't be involved in anything like this. And I hate when the media puts these pictures up and then everybody goes, he was a good kid. Everybody's saying he was a good kid. But then these pictures come out and they say they always post a bad picture of the people involved in this. No, this is the reality. This is the type of stuff that they're doing. But people like to not be real with themselves. When Austin had the gun and it looked like he was hunting versus this, you don't hunt with those type of guns. That's a military rifle. That's all I'm saying, man. People gonna get mad at me. People gonna talk about me. People gonna do whatever they need to do to feel better about themselves instead of accepting the facts. Let's keep going, man. Because I'm sorry to pause it so early.
some signs that he would bring a knife to a track meet and cut down in the prime of his life a 4.0 student who was probably going to go on to play collegiate football,
Yeah.
Austin Metcalf. Killer Carmelo Anthony has been treated with kid gloves by the woke DEI judge who's been handling the case, and it's allowed for there to be, stunningly, a groundswell of support for killer Carmelo Anthony. Again, I'm calling this the worst story of 2025 so far.
Yep.
So, murder a white kid in cold blood because of a dispute inside of a track meet. Who comes armed to a track meet in what is a relatively peaceful Frisco, Texas? Raise $500,000. And thankfully, this is tapered off now, this fundraiser.
That's exactly what I was saying, man. A track meet is where you bring water bottles and stopwatches, not knives. What was he preparing for? Murder or the 100-meter stab? It just doesn't make sense to me, guys. But everybody wants to justify this type of behavior, and it's exactly what's wrong.
Was going very strong for the first couple of days. And now we should be investigating everybody who donated.
Yeah.
Quite frankly, we should pull the identities of every donation here and ask, why are you funding what is being charged as capital murder in Texas? This is the good news, ladies and gentlemen. We may well get justice after all, while there may be little pops of social media outrage, the wheels of justice turn much slower, but they turn nonetheless. And this is Texas after all, thank God. This isn't some type of Blue City hellscape. This isn't Minneapolis, Minnesota, right? So here we go. Teen charged with killing Austin Metcalf, killer Carmelo,
Yep.
to be tried as an adult. He will also be facing capital murder charges, murder
Mm-hmm.
in the first degree. The teen who's charged with murdering 17-year-old Austin Metcalf will be tried as an adult in Texas. If you're tried as a juvenile, then they lower all of the penalties and punishments for this. It's seen as like you were a young, dumb kid, and clearly your actions weren't your own. If you're tried as an adult,
It's obvious that he wasn't young and dumb, guys. You seen the picture earlier when he had that huge gun. I'm just saying, man. They're gonna try to pull at your heads with this, and they're gonna try to make it seem like if you feel one way, you're emotionless.
which
Not
he
what we're doing.
should be and must be tried as an adult, then killer Carmelo Anthony will be treated quite harshly by the system, as he should. Again, you murdered an unarmed man, young man in cold blood at a track meet. Yeah, okay. Last month, Metcalf stabbed to death at a high school track meet after telling Carmelo Anthony that he was sitting in the wrong seat. Oh, got it. Okay, so there's your death sentence, right? Uh, tell killer Carmelo Anthony that you're sitting in the wrong seat, die.
Psychopath.
Okay, that's like what world do we live in? What country do we live? We live in a zero. Nobody wants to live in a country like this. Nobody wants to live in a country with elements like with people who will just straight up kill you for telling them true things. right? This is an unstable environment. Killer Carmelo Anthony must be punished within the final letter of the law in order to give a warning sign to other youths that you're not allowed to just straight up murder people because I don't they offended you by telling you a true thing. Yeah, life's tough. Get a helmet. Here we go.
Everybody that's feeling kind of bad about this and negative about it, like it's a white versus black thing, they're the same exact people that if their kid was on the other side of that gun or knife, anything, they they're gonna wish that that person gets a death penalty, that person faces the full extent of the law. That's what I don't like. You have black on black crime a lot of the times, and everybody's wearing RIP t-shirts and flying balloons in the air. Why aren't we going after the problem? And the problem is take more care of this youth, because the type of stuff people are involved in nowadays, it's it's ungodly.
Anthony had been charged with first degree murder, called capital murder in Texas. And according to the arrest warrant, told police the fatal stabbing, I did it. So it's not like any question that he's copping to it. Anthony will be tried as an adult since Texas is a concurrent jurisdiction state, according to Capital B. The laws also allow prosecutors to charge minors, typically 16 or 17 years old, as adult with certain crimes. Okay, good. The Collin County District Attorney Office, which is north of Dallas, is prosecuting the case of Metcalf's apparent murder. Anthony was charged with first degree murder in April. A grand jury will review the evidence and decide whether to formally indict on that charge or a lesser charge like manslaughter, capital B, reported. If Anthony convicted of first degree murder, he could face life in prison with a chance of parole after 40 years. So he would be in his 60s. Yeah, 60s, pushing 70 by the time he could potentially get parole. He will not face the death penalty. The Supreme Court has said not only can you not seek the death penalty against someone who committed a crime when they're 17, but you can't even get them life without parole. That would not be something that we could do, even if we wanted to, said Collin County District Attorney Greg Willis, according to New York Post. Anthony's bond was initially set at $1 million, but the Collin County judge agreed to lower.
Leave a comment right now, guys. What are you feeling about that? He's not allowed the death penalty because a lot of people gonna say, "Oh, that's too harsh." Let it be your son that's murdered in cold blood. Let it be your son because I think the system is upside down, and there's only one person that's really trying to fix it right now, and that's President Trump.
The bond to 250,000 and granted Anthony house arrest at his parents' home. The racially charged case made headlines again earlier this month when it was reported that Anthony was allowed to graduate high school. Jeff Metcalf, the father of Austin Metcalf, said he wanted answers about how the decision was allowed to let Anthony graduate high school with his 1.0 GPA, stonewalled by Frisco Independent School District Superintendent Mike Waltrip. I've been stonewalled, sad, I understand the protocol. This dad, man, is a real problem. It really is an example of how if you stand for nothing, if you don't draw the line, if you're just sitting there and just constantly
Yeah.
forgiving and allowing of this behavior, that you will be trod into nothing.
What type of messages are we sending to the next generation? Letting this slide. What type of message are you sending? Commit murder and you still get a cap and gown? And you're not even I don't even think you can graduate with a 1.0 GPA. Commit murder and you still get a cap and gown. That's the type of message that people are trying to send. This is crazy, man.
Your legacy will be utter humiliation. This father of Austin Metcalf, it's so sad to say. I don't want to go too hard on it. It's just been a humiliation, right? He was
Yeah.
kicked out of the press conference. The killer Carmelo Anthony's, has these dime store lawyers out there trying to make him the new Rosa Parks, right? And that's what they're going to try and do here. No, let's see. Let's see here. What is he charged with, and what could potentially be the penalties here? This is according to a Texas law firm. Texas does not classify murders by degrees. There's no first degree murder or second degree murder. They classify homicides differently. Capital murder, the most serious homicide charge, equivalent of what other states would call first degree murder. This is what he's being charged with, the most serious homicide charge. Capital murder in Texas, the most serious homicide charge, capital murder, meaning essentially what other states call first degree murder. We should note that when discussing capital murder, first degree murder, Texas technically does not use the term first degree murder. Okay, got it. Uh, in, uh, in Texas, if you are found guilty of this, you'll get the death penalty or life imprisonment without the possibility of parole unless you are 17. Now, I wonder what the give there is when it comes to being tried as an adult. Right. Capital murder means you have to be proven beyond a reasonable doubt that you intentionally or knowingly caused the death of another who was acting under the law, under lawful duty, or that the victim was under the age of 10. Okay. So this would be, taking out a knife from your bag and stabbing someone in the heart. That's what this is. So they're charging this correctly. Yes, this is capital murder, and that is exactly what happened. Right. Karmelo Anthony, 18, is charged with first degree murder and stabbing. Okay, so that's very interesting. I was under the impression that they were both 17. So now Karmelo Anthony is 18 years old. Got it. Witness told police that Anthony stabbed Metcalf during the dispute. When's the video coming out, right? When are we getting the video? Clearly somebody was filming this. The fact that Karmelo Anthony is being charged specifically with first degree murder tells us exactly what we need to know. There's likely overwhelming video evidence and eyewitness testimonies to prove that it was cold-blooded murder. He's cooked. Some people are upset that Karmelo Anthony may receive life in prison without parole. They forget that Austin Metcalf was already given a death sentence. In the
Yeah.
peak of his life, in the prime of his life. Scum. This kid's scum. First degree murder. Finally been charged with first degree murder. We won't know until June whether the grand jury will let Anthony walk or make him stand trial. In the meantime, at his Frisco mansion, enjoying the good life. Yes, he does live in a mansion right now, paid for by the GoFundMe money. But he won't face the death penalty because of his age. So perhaps, okay, that's what it was. They were both 17 at the time. They're both 17 at the time. He's now since turned 18. So at the time of the actual offense, at the time of committing murder, he was 17. So this is it. Full arrest report for Karmelo Anthony.
This
Here we
is
go.
a slap in the face, man.
I mean, it would be very healing. It'd be very healing for the country to get justice here. And justice says just really doesn't matter. I think there's obviously a huge amount of dynamics that play into this, but there's a lot of fatigue going on. Let's call it what it is. Like people are sick of the veneration of people like George Floyd. They're sick of criminals being able to go and do whatever they want, including but not limited to just straight up capital murder. They're being sick of being treated like idiots. Teen killer Karmelo Anthony allowed to graduate from high school while on bail for brutal stabbing. Of course, this shouldn't be allowed. This is insane. He's also allowed to live inside of a mansion, get a brand new pair of sneakers, as you can see right here. He lives, Daily Mail exclusively reported on the $900,000 home in a gated community the Anthonys were renting while claiming to be too poor.
So this guy claimed to be too poor, right? Because I'm looking at this, man, that he couldn't make bond, but he was rich enough to live in a gated luxury. This isn't justice at all. This is a slap in the face of ultimate class family. It really is. I'm just saying, man, how far are we gonna let this type of stuff go?
To pay their bond. It's grotesque. People are sickened by it. Again, this is the father who was kicked out and then berated for showing up to the press conference about his son's death.
What we seen at the beginning of this press conference, the father being at this press conference, these are my words. Don't quote anybody. Is a disrespect to the dignity of his son.
Okay.
If a cold-blooded killer can graduate while a straight-A student lies in a grave, what does justice even mean anymore? We need to make this right. Life in prison, no less. Let me know what you guys think about the video. Be sure to like, comment, subscribe if you're new. And as always, let me know what to react to. We're out.